Good morning. Looking out into the audience, it's probably a safe assumption to say that just about everyone here has managed a project. I know you're saying, I'm not a project manager. You may not have the word project manager as your title, but I'm pretty sure you've managed some sort of project or task. Maybe you had to make sure the utilities were clear, or that the right-of-way was acquired, or maybe that the environmental document was cleared. Hate to break this to you, but by doing all it takes to get this done, you're a project manager. Two of the values of TxDOT are accountability and trust. In addition, two of the goals and objectives of TxDOT are to deliver the right project and focus on the customer. Project management helps achieve these goals through best practices. Together, we can increase the value of project management at TxDOT to help us achieve our goal of delivering the right projects. As I mentioned earlier, project management supports one of TxDOT's primary focus areas, to deliver the right projects. TxDOT's very focused on project delivery. And I'll clarify that further to mean get the right projects ready to let so they can be out the door and constructed in the expected time frame to benefit the traveling public. So it's just not about getting it out the door. It has to be ready. And there's a lot of things that have to happen to get it ready. Managing a project is as challenging as aligning the planets. It's a challenge to get everything to go right at the same time, and it's often a rarity when it happens. It's something to be celebrated. This is because of all the hazards that can creep up on the project's life cycle. Getting all those planets to line up requires some management, well in advance of the actual design. Today, I'd like to give some insight on how the project and portfolio management section within TP&P manages projects. I'll start off by talking about the organization of the team, followed by the goals of our PPM project managers. I'll show some tools that our project managers have been able to successfully implement on district projects, and finally, I'll wrap up and take any questions. The PPM section snapshot. The PPM team is working on a lot of different things to reach out to districts and divisions, such as developing training, developing tools, developing guidance, holding monthly P6 support groups via WebEx, conducting peer exchanges, facilitating risk workshops. And what I'll be focusing on today is supporting the districts through managing projects and mentoring district project managers. As a PPM group, we're supporting 25 geographical districts, 20+ divisions, covering over 12,000 employees with a variety of different management cultures from one district to the next, one area office to another, and a long history of doing things a certain way. Working with several districts, we have acknowledged that things do not get done the same way in every district, and that's okay. What we like to take from this interaction with other districts or divisions is highlighting the best practices they each have to offer. Another feature of our support to the 25 districts is through the Project Management Services team. The team is comprised of 5 full-time project managers who work in partnership with districts to illustrate project management best practices through the management of a project. In addition to working with the districts to deliver projects, we serve as mentors to 3 districts, Laredo, Dallas, and Amarillo, which are outlined in blue. The districts in orange are where we are utilizing the PPM and industry standard tools and techniques to deliver projects. This gives the project managers real-world experience to project delivery so that these tools can be refined to deliver the most value. The PPM project manager goals. There are different models the PPM project managers have implemented in working with the districts. The first 2 you see here are traditional and support model 1. In the traditional PM model, the PPM project manager is solely responsible for coordinating all aspects of the project while introducing tools and techniques that have been developed by PPM. In the support model 1, this model typically pairs a PPM project manager with a district project manager. The PPM project manager's primary focus is on the management of the project, while the district project manager focuses on the technical details of the project. These two models have worked well, but we are now shifting our focus to the latter two models, the mentoring model and the traditional project manager with a mentoring model. The mentoring model is similar to the support model previously shown, but although the PPM project manager is paired with a district project manager, the PPM project manager serves as a behind-the-scenes support to the district and has no interaction with the consultant. Traditional project manager with a mentoring model, in this case, the PPM project manager is paired with a less experienced district project manager. The goal is to work to develop the skill set of a district project manager through on-the-job training and recommended classroom training. In general, it assumes a lot of the same responsibilities as a traditional model, but the responsibilities are shared. In addition to the models shown, we're starting up a new service to pair up a PPM project manager with district project managers for one-on-one mentoring outside of a specific project. There are different models used in different districts, from the PPM project manager leading the team to the PPM project manager supporting from the sidelines. In any case, the ultimate goal is to deliver projects while using the best practices. The tools and techniques that the PPM project managers are trying to share fall into key areas of project management shown on the screen. We didn't make these up. These components that make up the framework of project management have been studied and refined and are recognized globally as the basis for project management for any discipline. It's not that we're not doing it at all. TxDOT gets a lot done, but we can always be better. More focused attention on the project manager role and the coordination of the team could increase the value of what's being done. The PPM team has organized a tools and procedures matrix in a way that corresponds with the industry standards. This chart shows the tools we are utilizing on projects. The rows are the knowledge areas shown in the previous slide, and the columns represent the phases of a project. So now that you have this list of tools we have available, you should be able to go forward and manage projects without any problems. No? You want a little more explanation of how these tools may be used and maybe some examples? Okay, I'm glad I came prepared for that. Let's run through a few. PM tools on district projects. The first process that I will be highlighting is status meetings. I will highlight some of the successes we have had on the portfolio of projects the PPM manages in the Odessa district. The status meeting is a process in the project integration knowledge area used during the monitoring and controlling phase of a project. Taking a closer look, you can see the status meeting process is supported by several tools, including the reporting template, risk register, issues log, and lessons learned log. We have weekly project status meetings with the Odessa district for several projects being managed by the PPM project managers. We have a high volume of projects with a high number of project managers. The problem we initially encountered was that the communication was scattered and overwhelming for the district and inconsistent for the PPM project managers. And like the picture indicates, it was a lot like herding cats. Not impossible, but rather difficult. The solution that was developed was to have one meeting to cover all projects on a weekly basis with a standard reporting format. Having weekly meetings is appropriate for Odessa, and the frequency may change from district depending on the project complexity and the PM experience. The frequency and format may change from district to district, but we have seen that having this consistency in communication is a best practice. There are 4 basic slides that we use in our weekly meetings. The first slide contains the general project information, the schedule, and the work authorization data. The schedule information is coming from Working P6 schedules. The second slide covers the risks and issues that are being monitored. New risks and issues may be added or retired as a project progresses. The third slide is a general status that provides the current week's update with the previous week's status for comparison. Finally, any lessons learned are documented and shared to ensure that the team does not make the same mistakes again, or so that we can capitalize on the things that worked well and apply them to other projects. The risk register, the issues log, and the lessons learned log are maintained through the project and also presented at the project closeout. So what have the templates provided? Consistency in communication. Odessa knows how the information will be presented and how to find it. And even in cases where we can't meet, slides are submitted to the district so they can pull information if needed. Project managers are ensured an opportunity to get questions answered on a consistent basis. This helps to decrease the day-to-day emails with minor issues or questions. The templates have also helped with efficiency. There is a lot of information to cover for several projects, but not all projects have significant changes from week to week. Even though we have a large number of projects, we rarely exceed the 1-hour duration for the meeting. All major discussions are sidelined, and individual meetings can be scheduled later. The next process I will be highlighting is the risk identification process. This process is part of the risk management knowledge area, and it's used during the execution phase of the project. With any project, some form of risk identification should be done. For low-rigor projects, it may be an informal process, but for medium to high-rigor projects, having a risk workshop is a good practice. For the I-10 Connect project in El Paso, a 6-hour risk workshop was conducted in February 2016 in El Paso and conducted by our in-house staff. The project had been through its first public meeting and was at the alternatives development phase. The goals were to document any uncertainties, prioritize risks, and develop responses and contingency plans to the risks identified. And in order to make the workshop as successful as possible, key staff was invited to participate. Aside from having subject matter experts and people familiar with the project attend, having people that are familiar with the project area is always a bonus. People from the area offices or maintenance office are always a great resource to be included when possible. So the risk workshop was held in February 2016, and we're now in October 2017. So what's happened since then? The risks identified have been monitored and continue to be discussed at status meetings. The risk register continues to be updated as needed, and a follow-up meeting will be had with the project team once the preferred alternative is identified. Through the risk workshop, there were 23 original risks identified and documented in the risk register. Of those, 3 risks have been realized and are now issues. So what we thought might happen has happened, and we have to actively monitor and resolve. Of the 23 original risks, 2 of the risks were retired, while 3 have been accepted with no proposed mitigation. The remaining 15 continue to be monitored. So what was the value from the risk workshop? It brought awareness to the entire team of the risks that the project was facing moving forward. It was a proactive way to manage and respond to potential risks before they occur or before we have limited options to deal with them. Developing response plans to risks identified with the team during the risk workshop provided the project manager an effective resource to manage risks moving forward. The risk register is a living document and has been an excellent tool to document all of the risks moving forward. At progress meetings, there's always an agenda item to discuss risks. The risk register will allow the project manager to track any risks moving from the preliminary phase to the PS&E phase. It will be a great tool to communicate all remaining risks to the PS&E consultant and team through the life of the PS&E project. The final example I will be highlighting is a project closeout process. This process is also part of the project integration knowledge area performed during the closing phase of the project. Having a closeout meeting allows for the current project manager to hand off the project to the new project manager and provide them with any vital information or any lessons learned that will need to be known going from one phase to another. A closeout meeting was held for the SH-107 project in Pharr. The scope of the project was to widen from a 2-lane roadway to a 4-lane roadway along SH-107, and at the intersection of SH-107 and IH-69E, build turnarounds into an existing bridge structure. The project let in April 2017. The environmental document was a categorical exclusion, a public meeting was held, and positive feedback was provided. And although right-of-way was thought not to be needed, as design progressed, a corner clip would be needed. And there was also a railroad crossing adjacent to the project. This closeout meeting serves as a knowledge transfer station for all phases of a project. It can be a transition from PS&E to construction, schematic to PS&E, or even construction to maintenance. The process is supplemented by 3 tools: the project closeout checklist, which can be seen here, project documentation, and lessons learned log. As you begin to transfer your project knowledge, your ability to keep vital and up-to-date documentation will be important. However, even more important will be where you store and organize the documents. As part of the knowledge transfer, letting the next project manager know where to find things will be extremely valuable and will save both time and headaches in the future. The use of ProjectWise was a valuable tool to accomplish this. By having all project files stored in one location, both district and division, like the PPM project manager, were able to access files. So you've told the next project manager where everything is. You should be done, right? Not yet. Any active, pending, or critical items should be discussed. Some key components to be discussed during the closeout meeting are risks, issues, and lessons learned. A major risk on the project was the possibility of contaminated soil due to a leaking underground storage tank. We had a plan in place in case this happened. One of the known issues on the project was right-of-way encroachment. We were able to provide the area office with the contact information and the details of meetings and discussions previously had so that they could follow up during the construction phase without any conflicts. Lessons learned. In right-of-way, we learned that original contracts should be reviewed before requesting a separate contract in order to get a better price for services. In addition, in right-of-way, we learned that the AEP utility poles had been relocated prior to the right-of-way acquisition of the corner clip. We're very lucky that we did not have an angry property owner regarding this. Next, utilities. Utility relocation, more specifically, always seems to be a struggle for most projects, and this wasn't any different. We struggled to get one utility to follow through with their completion dates. Luckily, the project manager, which happened to be me, had documented all completion dates and discussions regarding this matter. And finally, the railroad agreement. The one thing I will say here is that even if you think you're not doing any work within railroad right-of-way, always double check if any TxDOT structures are within railroad right-of-way. Risks, issues, and lessons learned are all part of the projects we manage. But what has made the difference is the ability to document these by using a risk register, an issues log, and a lessons learned log, which are living documents and continue to be updated throughout the life of the project. By sharing this information, the transfer of knowledge, or passing the baton, was easily shared. In addition, we were able to apply the lessons learned on future projects. So in order to hand off the baton as smoothly as possible, like going from PS&E to construction, the Pharr district had its first closeout meeting. The key staff from the responsible area office was invited, such as the area engineer, the assistant area engineer, and the construction project manager. Key staff from the district advanced planning development section was also invited, as they were the district contacts responsible for getting the project to letting. As mentioned earlier, this was the first closeout meeting for the Pharr district. So what was its value? Both the area engineer and the assistant area engineer provided positive feedback. They stated that by having the closeout meeting, it provided for a smoother transition in the handoff process from design to construction. So from the area office, we received the feedback that the closeout meeting was a very valuable tool. Successful projects don't just happen. They're managed. Whether the projects are being managed by me, you, or others in your office, the focus should be on finding the best practices to deliver the right projects. With an increase in budget comes an increase in projects that will need to be managed. The PPM team wants to work with the districts to share the wealth of knowledge throughout the agency to increase the value of project management at TxDOT.